Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Strickland. I'm your host, Shwin. In this episode 518, I'm joined not by Prez, but a quality pinch hitter, my former co-host, and now current co-host for the time being. His name is Andrew Steele, aka Drew, aka Doug, aka Drug.
Drug.
Drug, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm trying to think of like pinch hit. Who are like some of the best pinch hitters? I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah, I'm probably the worst.
Does Ruben Sierra count?
Was he? Yeah, he was a good pinch hitter. Wasn't Edgar Martinez? Am I making that up? That's a guy.
No, he was a designated. He was the designated hitter for the Mariners.
Right. He was like an elite designated hitter, but I remember.
Yeah, he was. Like, those teams, that early '90s Mariners team, they had Edgar Martinez, Tino Martinez, Alex Rodriguez, Ken Griffey Jr., and Jay Buhner, and Randy Johnson.
Yes, yeah. Who was it? Moyne? What was the pitcher? Moyner?
Jamie Moyer.
Jamie Moyer. Yeah, he was on that team, wasn't he?
Probably. I mean, that man, he pitched until he was like 50.
Yeah. Wow. That's the most extensive baseball talk you're gonna get out of me.
Yeah, all right. This is the 90s baseball, baby.
All right. Well, we're not here to talk about baseball. We're here to talk about basketball, namely the New York Knicks. We're going to do that before we get started. I do have to make a few announcements. First, the Strickland has a YouTube channel where you can watch this podcast. If you are not done so already, please hit like, subscribe to the channel, just comment. That'd be a huge help to us. The Strickland also has merchandise, which you can find on our website at www.strick.land. There's a link to take to the merchandise store. There's all kinds of cool stuff on there, like t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, coffee mugs, water bottles, you name it, we got it. The Strickland also has a Patreon, which you can subscribe to. There are a number of different tiers. There's $6 here that gives you access to Pod Strickland, the podcast that I host every Friday with Prez, but also right now Doug. You also get access to the Strickland Discord, where the conversation never stops, and you get access to Takes from Obvious Bozos podcast hosted by Andrew Steele, aka Doug, aka Drug, along with Zach Blatter. There are further tiers. There's a $9 tier that gets you access to Strickland Roll, a pod that I host with YC, where we rant with the next day more. You also get access to one of our premium articles by Matt Timberno, one of the best in business, and you get access to Strictly NFL, which you guessed it. It's a podcast with the NFL that is hosted by Konstantin Metrikos and Desmond Novak. There are further tiers. There's $15 tier, $30 tier, $50 tier, and $100 tier. It's going to a variety of additional benefits, like listening on pod recordings, merchandise, discount team, potentially co-host a podcast alongside yours today, whether you choose to subscribe. Not necessarily possible without you, and another two possible without our sponsor of FanDuel. So, Pod Strickland, episode 518, brought to you by FanDuel. Okay, so the New York Knickerbockers. Not much is happening in Knicks land. We talked about Mikal Bridges' extension last time we spoke, Drew. Since then, the only thing that has occurred is Coach Wiener. I actually have no idea how to pronounce his name. I'm going to go with Wiener. Of the Pacers, the Knicks interviewed him. I guess he was up. It was unclear. All it said is he was up for an assistant coaching position on the Knicks staff. I believe it was the associate head coach position. He decided to pass on that. Chris Gent is now linked. He is with the Charlotte Hornets, but he's bounced around the league in a lot of places. Seems like he might be one for the job. I don't know. Again, I continue to not have many thoughts on this. I don't know if you do have many thoughts on this.
No. I mean, like, I really don't know these assistant coaches. Like, I just hope that, like, the players like them. That's really ultimately it. Like, I can't judge these guys. I could judge the head coach based on, like, what they do in games and stuff, but I have no clue. The only guy, I can judge the what's called the replay guy. That guy's a coward. I'm not a big fan of his.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
That's it. That's all I. That's my assistant coach talk. That's all I got for you.
Well, there you go. I will. Okay. Well, why don't let's just start? I guess we can start.
Let's just get into it. This is going to be a fun one because there's some good stuff.
So last time that we potted together, we did the worst moves of the teens from 2010 to 2020. Now we will be doing the draft. We will be drafting the worst moves of the 2000s by the Knicks. And I got to tell you, there are so many. There are like it's actually kind of insane when you go through it that like you you know, like we know that the Knicks were really badly mismanaged during that time period. But when you actually go through it, it's like it really drives home how insane and just like how many bad decisions were made in such quick succession so consistently throughout the decade.
It was shocking to review, like absolutely shocking to review. And I think the funniest part is there were some good moves, like shrewd draft moves that they did during this time, but like it didn't matter because of how bad all the trades were, right? Like, and it's so goddamn funny because like they got David Lee, who was a very good NBA player. They managed to get Nate Robinson, a good player. Like they managed to do some good stuff, like shrewd draft trades. But goddamn, like these trades are terrible. Like so many of the moves, like everything is a complete disaster. It's hilarious to look back now, but I remember at the time, especially for the latter half of the 2000s, I was like, what is happening? Like, what is this? It's chaos. And I can't wait to go in with you to go down memory lane for this because I looked at every draft pick because you probably know this too, but like the draft and the trades are so intrinsically tied together during the 2000s that you can't separate them. And I find that so fascinating how like everything involved a draft pick. Everything involved a draft pick.
It's pretty depressing.
It's depressing.
All right. Let's get started with our period of depression. I'll let you have the first pick here, and I gotta tell you, I think that there is actually a clear cut number one, and I don't think it's the one that most people associate with this era. But I will let you. I will let you go first. So you get the first pick of the worst moves of this era by the Knicks.
I'm trying to think now where you might be going with this because I feel like the obvious answer.
I think we might agree. I think we might agree, but I think a lot of people don't.
Do people not think the Eddie Curry trade is the worst of them all?
I think a lot of people always go with the Ewing trade, but I think it's the Eddie Curry trade. I really
no, it's the Eddie Curry. It's the Eddie Curry trade is a complete. Hold on. I think I need to reread it just so people understand.
So the number one pick here for you is the Eddie Curry trade, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Right. It is truly the craziest thing. Like I said, I need to pull this up.
I will. Because... I have it right here. I have.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead and read it because I don't think people really understand how crazy this trade is.
So Eddie Curry, who quite literally had a fucking heart condition that had held him out all summer with the Bulls. The Bulls had not signed into a contract because of this heart condition. He gets signed and traded to the Knicks. Here's what gets traded for him. Eddie Curry and Antonio Davis were acquired by the New York Knicks from the Chicago Bulls in exchange for Jermaine Jackson, Mike Sweetney, Tim Thomas, a 2006 first-round pick, a swap and then a first-round pick swap in 2007. The Knicks also gave up their second-round picks in 2007 and 2009. And as part of this trade, since it was a sign-in trade, mind you, Eddie Curry signed a 5-year, and I just want to confirm, I'm going to make sure I have the right number here, a 5-year, 5-year, $50 million contract. Sorry, 6-year, $60 million contract with the Knicks. I can't tell you how bad this contract was. They got terrible ROI in this. And again, like to the point you're making, I'll let you go with this, but like 6 year, $60 million for Eddie Curry. You go 2 first-round picks. The first-round pick 2006, that actually ends up being like the 3rd pick in that draft.
It becomes the 2nd pick in that draft, which turned into LaMarcus Aldridge, and then the pick swap where the Knicks actually we're like okay because they ended up with Wilson Chandler, who was actually like again, this is like that was a good late round pick. They missed out on Joakim Noah.
Yeah, right? Noah was a 7th pick.
So like this They basically traded for their front court who didn't play. Because we'll
What?
get to another one. We'll get to another trade because I don't want to
What?
spoil it because there's another one involved.
And I
But
gotta say the Bulls fucked this up too because so they get the second pick and then they try to be really cute because
Yep,
I guess they wanted Tyrese Thomas instead of LaMarcus
they did.
Aldridge, but they wanted
Insane.
him. They wanted him at the lower cap number, so like they took LaMarcus and then traded him to the Blazers, and then took Tyrese Thomas with a third pick, if I remember correctly. That's how it worked.
Yeah, that insanity. Even on the Bulls, like they completely fucked it up. But like the combinations of this was obviously before the 2011 or the 2012 CBA. So that's when players you could sign for like 6 years, 5 years, like that type of shit. Where like contracts were
7 years.
super long.
7 years.
Like they were giant contracts.
They did a sign and trade for Jamal Crawford the year before with Chicago, and that was a 7-year, $56 million contract.
Yeah, so like this was a time where like years were like fine, we'll give them 6 years, and in this NBA it would be like, oh my god, we can't have a 6-year contract on our books. That would be insane. And Curry at that time too was not releasing any of his medicals. Right? Like this was one of those things where it's just like he had issues and he's like, I'm not releasing anything. That's going to cost me money. And the Knicks were like, all right, fine, we'll pay you. And then you lose two crucial picks, like control of 2 picks. Super crucial. And for a guy who basically only had like 1 solid season for the Knicks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this was like the crowning achievement of the Isaiah Thomas era. Like this was it's to me by far the worst move of this decade. You could argue it's probably like the worst move in Knicks history. There's a few others, but like this one is the top. And again, like you miss out on an actual rebuild where you can get legitimate lottery talent. 2 guys who I don't think they're Hall of Famers, but like LaMarcus Aldridge is probably going to make the Hall of Fame since like they let everyone into the Hall of Fame. Right. Yeah. So like I don't think these guys are, but like these 2 were like Noah and Aldridge were very, very, very good players in the NBA. Like again, like the Knicks managed to do some good drafting anyway, right? Because like they did get David Lee, who was a very good player. He was not as good as LaMarcus Aldridge, right? So like it's things like that. And to me, like just revisiting that trade, just seeing it again in writing, and then seeing the results of what that trade led to, it's a complete disaster.
Yeah, it's definitely not good. They had already given up. They gave up their 2004 first round pick in a trade with Marbury, for Marbury. They traded away their 2003 first round pick in this era in the McDyess deal. They had traded multiple first round picks. They owed a future first round pick that was also part of the Marbury deal. So like, this trade was just crazy because they literally were already pick deficient and they weren't good. So the idea was basically that like Eddie Curry was actually this burgeoning all-star or something, and you were getting him at a discount, but you actually weren't getting him at a discount because you were giving up multiple first-round picks, and you had to give him this massive contract, which like I know now we hear 6 years, $60 million, you're just like that's not even mid-level exception money. And it's not, but back then that was like a huge contract.
Huge contract, yeah.
Just to like be clear, I'm going to remove his rookie season. In the 3 years prior to this trade, Eddie Curry had played a total of 217 games. He averaged 13.5 points on 53.5% shooting from the field. He averaged 25.5 minutes a game. Do you know how many rebounds he averaged?
He didn't even rebound 10. I think he averaged like 6.
He averaged 5.3 rebounds in 25.5 minutes per game. He was he did not pass the ball. 0.7 assists to 2.2 turnovers in those 25.5 minutes. And he averaged under a block in that time. Like, this is a big man who was good at scoring and quite literally bad at everything else. Everything else. It was a horrific trade. It's just a really, really bad trade.
It would have been like if the Knicks gave up all that for like Jonas Valanciunas. But Jonas is, I would say Valanciunas is better. But you know what I'm saying? Like that type of like archetype of big where it's just like, it's just the scoring low post offensive big, not giving you defense, not giving you rebounding, and not giving you any sort of creation. Nothing. He was just a big body. Again, he was a big, strong guy, but like he didn't even utilize like his size well. Like Curry, unfortunately, just was not good. And granted, he had unfortunately like terrible like health concerns that really derailed his career, and he was a target for tons of like shit and stuff like that because of this trade. But it's still a terrible trade. Terrible trade.
It was really, really bad, and definitely set the Knicks back for a long time. So, all right, I have the number 2 pick, and I will go with. I'm gonna zag a little bit here. I'm going to go with the Knicks trade for. I'm going to do the Knicks trading for Antonio McDyess.
That's a good one. That's a good. No, that's a good one. That's definitely up there.
I think that's worse than the Ewing trade for a few reasons. I actually think the Ewing. We'll get to it. So I'm going to take this number 2. The Knicks traded Marcus Camby, Mark Jackson. Yes. There goes that man, Mark Jackson, who I will get to that. For some reason, the Knicks decided to acquire him when he was 40 fucking years old. But yes, they traded Marcus Camby, Mark Jackson, and the 7th overall pick in the 2002 draft for Antonio McDyess. McDyess got injured in the preseason. He did not play that entire next fucking year. He played a grand total of, I believe, 18 games for the Knicks over the course of 2.5 seasons, basically, with the team. He gets traded midway through the 2003-2004 season as part of the Marbury deal. I have this as much worse than the Marbury deal because the Marbury, I mean, I don't want to get into that, but like the Knicks had a really bad 2002 season, but you still had Marcus Camby at the time. You still had Allen Houston. You still had Latrell Sprewell. This was a team where you could talk yourself into, okay, look, it was a bad year. We are clearly need to move some things around and get things situated, but we had this. You had the 7th overall pick. We have all of our picks actually moving forward at this point in time. We have all of our picks, so we're not screwed here. We don't need to freak out, and we know these guys are 2 years removed from going to an Eastern Conference Finals for the 2nd year in a row. They had made the playoffs in 2001. They just had it was a bad 2002 year, and the supporting pieces around your main guys were not good enough. You get the 7th pick in this draft, okay? And this is this is a pretty good draft, 2003. The 2003 draft it's not the 2003, it was the 2002 draft. That's my fault. 2003 draft is pretty good, by the way. It's a pretty good draft, I've heard.
Solid.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. The 2002 draft. So Nene Hilario gets drafted number 7th overall by the Nuggets. Effectively, he actually has a solid career. Amari Stoudemire is the 9th pick in that draft. And look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Knicks definitely would have drafted Amari Stoudemire, and there's plenty of bums that come after that too. Chris Wilcox goes 8, who
not good.
If you've never heard of him, don't worry about it. You don't need to hear about him.
You don't need to worry about him.
But Caron Butler was the 10th pick also after Amari Stoudemire went 9th. And then there's Jeffries at 11, but after that it's pretty rough. You really don't get anybody that has a legitimate NBA career until you get to Nenad Kristic, who goes in the 24th overall pick. I will say one thing about this trade is they did get the 25th pick in the draft back, I believe, which was the which ends up being Frank Williams, more or less. And he doesn't end up doing anything. So that didn't really matter, but they did get that back. But this trade is just bad. I mean, it's just a brutal trade. I don't know what else to say. Like McDyess already had major injury concerns. He had only played fucking 10 games the year before in 2001, 2002. He had come off of microfracture surgery. So like you were already trading for a guy off of a major injury and you paid a premium to do it. And the crazy thing about this is, let's say, like if you're, even if you want to this would have been the natural point if you were going to lean in a direction. This would have actually been the natural point to start trading guys off and start a rebuild.
Yes.
And
yes.
instead, if you want to try to continue to compete, this was just a terrible player to acquire. Antonio McDyess, again, really, really good player. He had made an all-star team in 2001, but he had injury issues, and he literally just played 10 games the year before. That was it, 10 games. It was just, it didn't make any sense to go out and trade for this guy at the premium you did, because not only did you give up the 7th overall pick, but you gave up Camby. Camby goes on to like stay in the league for quite a long time and be a productive rotation player. Like the Knicks bring him back a decade later, but he was a good player for Denver. He had a stint in Houston. Like he remained a really good NBA player for a while, and the Knicks just punted on that. They punted on him and they punted on the 7th pick, all to like take this crazy fucking shot at Antonio McDyess, who again, really good player, really talented player, honestly a really exciting player before he got hurt.
Yeah.
He was like Stoudemire before Stoudemire, actually.
Yeah, he was Amari Stoudemire before Stoudemire. Yeah, that's a really good comp. He was that type of like high flying, just big, super athletic. You weren't stopping him type of power forward. He was good, but he got hurt.
But yeah, and it's crazy and it's fucking ridiculous because they could have just drafted Amari Stoudemire if they
could have.
Instead, they don't draft Amari Stoudemire, but they do end up giving him $100 million 7 years later. So let's go Knicks. Awesome.
Let's go. So I think it's going to be my turn, but here's the problem. There is a correct pick for number 3 here, but I am not really qualified to talk about it because I really wasn't following the league at this time. The correct pick is obviously the Ewing trade at this point, I would say. But I'm not really that qualified and I don't really know too much about it other than like he was expiring and they took on a shit ton of money and they didn't have to do it. So
this was like a weird thing because the year before they make the conference finals, but Ewing is bad, like really, really bad. And it's not surprising he's bad because he ended the 1999 season sitting on the bench because he had an Achilles injury. Like he was an old player who had like his body had been through so much. In 2000, his final year with the Knicks, he was 37 years old. Yeah. And he basically just came back, like, without a proper full rehab. Just to show you how tough the guy is, he averaged 32.8 minutes per game that season, which is nuts. But yeah, he's 37 years old, but his numbers were down. He was 46% from the field. It was just obvious that he was a declining player, if not already a fully declining player. And even in 99, he didn't have a great year. Like it's kind of easy to be romantic about the team because they go on to make the finals that year, but he did not have a good year. And, a lot of people will argue that like they benefited from him getting injured when he did. And not even just getting injured, but like them giving Marcus Camby more time as the playoffs went on and stuff like that. And he kind of saw the writing on the wall. I think he wanted a new contract. They weren't going to give him a new contract. And it was like he requested a trade. And maybe they shouldn't have honored it. And maybe if they were going to honor it, not even maybe. Like, if they weren't going to honor it, I think that would have been fair enough. I think it would have been fair enough for them to be like, look, like, we love you. We're not going to give you a new contract. And we're not going to make a trade that sucks for us. Right. And I'm sure that if they wanted to make a trade that didn't suck for them, they could have done it. But instead, they made a trade that did suck for them to honor his request. And, they trade Patrick Ewing to the Seattle Supersonics. Rest in peace.
Yeah,
Uh,
RIP.
and then they get back a 2001 second round pick. They get back a bunch of shit. Like it's literally just a bunch of shit contracts basically. And then they get a 2001 second round pick from Seattle, a 2001 second round pick from Boston. They get a conditional 2002 first from Seattle. They also just started doing like stupid shit in this trade. They traded their own first round pick in 2001 and Chris Dudley to the Suns. And they get like it's just a fucked up trade. They get like Luke Longley and a bunch of shit. Ultimately, what the Knicks end up getting is they end up. This is the sum total of it. They end up trading Chris Dudley, Patrick Ewing, and their own 2001 first, and they get back. And I'm going to read it all: Lazaro Burrell, Travis Knight, Luke Longley, Vernon Maxwell, Glenn Rice, who signed he signed
Huge
a
contract.
he signed a contract he was signed in trade to be in this deal. Vladimir Stepania, and then they get a 2001 first from the Lakers, 2001 second from Seattle, 2001 second from Boston, a 2002 first from Seattle. So they end up net plus one pick, but then they take on long-term money in the deal.
Tons of long-term money.
And they make it worse down the line when they eventually move on from Glenn Rice, but it was just a bad deal.
Yeah, it's just like I said, I couldn't really speak to it because like I really don't really remember it. I just know it as a transaction, right? I don't remember the
this deal added $90 million in payroll through 2004. Yeah, and it was made in the summer of 2000. So you're talking about you added $90 million in payroll for 4 years. Pretty bad.
Yeah,